Welcome to Player Profiler Today. I'm your host, Mike Limberg, Grindberg, if you will. And today we're diving into the latest fantasy football action. Joining me today, I have a special guest. I'll introduce him in a minute. His name is Jake, and we will be talking to him. And we've got an action-packed episode. We'll break down the exciting debuts of rookie quarterbacks, Drake Maye and Spencer Rattler, assess the troubling state of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and discuss the implications of David Montgomery's contract extension with the Lions. So grab your notes, get ready, and let's elevate your fantasy game. Let's go. What's up, everybody? I got my main man, Jake, over here. Jake, welcome to Player Profiler Today. You want to introduce yourself, tell everybody where they can find all your stuff, what you're doing, and give them a little sneak peek on what is about to happen here for Player Profiler Today and yourself.
Hey, everyone, I'm Jake. You can find my stuff on X, Louis Lewis 5. I also have my own podcast as well, as called Fantasy End Zone. You can find it, on pretty much any platform right now. Taking the opportunity to join the Player Profiler news team. Looking forward to be my own host on the show and, continue and build with you guys.
Yeah, man, it's a pleasure to have you on this show. This is kind of your inaugural, get yourself familiar with the brand show. So, Jake's been doing some work over the last year with Player Profiler, and now he's a welcome addition to the news team. And, you're going to find him reporting news on the news desk and, hopefully joining us on the Player Profiler Today as one of our news anchors. So welcome, Jake. And let's get into the top stories here. And there's a lot to report after a busy week in the NFL. And, some great debuts here. Drake Maye, Spencer Rattler. They had exciting rookie debuts. Both of them made their debuts this week, showcasing their potential while also revealing some growing pains. Maye leading the New England Patriots. He lit up the field with a stat line that included 3 touchdowns, completing 20 of 33 passes for 243 yards, despite the Patriots failing to win that game against the Texans. Maye's performance brought a wave of optimism to a franchise searching for its identity. His ability to connect with his receivers, notably Kayshon Boutte and tight end Hunter Henry, but also Demario Douglas, creates a lot of promise and a new era for this Patriots team. And then we move on to the Spencer Rattler situation. His first start with the Saints was a mixed bag. He completed 22 of 40, 243 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions in a tough loss to the Buccaneers. Rattler's performance showed flashes of competence, particularly with that 10-yard touchdown strike to Bub Means, but his numbers weren't as explosive as Maye's. Rattler managed to keep the Saints competitive in a high-scoring game, demonstrating his ability to perform. So, Jake, considering the performances of these 2 young quarterbacks, what are your thoughts on Maye's potential, a long-term fantasy asset? And with Rattler stepping in for Carr, how do you see his impact affecting, the fantasy value of the other skill players with the Saints? So let's talk about, Drake Maye first. What's his long-term fantasy asset value here?
His future is really bright. He showcased why he was number 3 overall draft pick this last year. 243 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. He did have the 2 interceptions, but for fantasy, we also like rushing upside with a quarterback. He put up 38 yards on 5 carries. I think right now he's technically like a top 15 quarterback for this week before, the Monday night game. And just his one start, it's way better than what Jacoby Brissett ever produced this year. His best game was 168 yards, 1 touchdown. With the quarterback now, their wide receivers become relevant. The wide receiver core is young. Looking at Keyshawn Boutte, he played 83% of snaps. Kendrick Bourne is still getting eased back into the offense with his knee injury from last year. The only downfall I see was Jalen Polk dropped to 68% of snaps. I don't know if this was, designed to be like that, but, Keyshawn Boutte played very well. Demario Douglas played superb as well, finishing off a great week. Uh, those alone, he could support like a fancy one wide receiver, I do believe, in the near future. The rest of the season, I would be stocking him up, putting him on my bench. He's available in, I think, 85% of leagues on Sleeper.
Yeah, man, I'm with you there too. Like, I think Drake Maye has got a lot of upside. His legs alone, he's kind of like reminds me of Josh Allen in his rookie season. He's got the upside. He just needs that decision making. And I think the Patriots were trying to do him justice by kind of letting him sit around. But all right. So I think I just had a technical difficulty there, but
Yeah,
we're back
you cut
now.
out a little
You with
bit.
me?
Yep, I'm here.
Yeah, I just cut out. Yeah, all right. Yeah, we're good now. I think I'm back. I
Yeah.
just had a little glitch in my Canadian internet. It's Thanksgiving weekend here in Canada, so maybe people are using their internet a little bit too much now. No, I'm just joking. Let's go on to the next situation here, and you know, let's hear from the Podfather, because whenever there's a technical glitch, he knows where to find things and how to make sure it happens better. Let's
Now, I
go.
know many of you are looking for a secret weapon for your Dynasty League, and I have it. It's called the Dynasty Dominator app. You go to the App Store, go to Google Play. It's right there. It's $5 to download, and then every year it's $5 to load the next incoming class of rookies. You can add Superflex, add tight end premium. It's incredible because it allows you to look up players. It allows you to vote on whether a player is a buy, hold, or sell, and then see the market sentiment on that player. And you can compare their lifetime value rating from Player Profiler to their Dynasty ADP at the FFPC, all in the price lookup tool. And beyond that, we have a trade analyzer, so you'll never lose another Dynasty trade again. And in our settings, you can set this is a win now team, this is a rebuilding team, and then we let you compare players. Look at their metrics side by side, prospect metrics, NFL metrics. It's all there. It's $5 in the App Store. There's some add-ons for Superflex and to buy the upcoming rookie class. Every year, you're going to spend $5 on this thing, and it's going to be well worth it.
Yeah, buddy. Now, Spencer Rattler stepping in for Derek Carr. How do you see the impact affecting his fantasy value on the other skill players? Now, Chris Olave, he suffered an injury this weekend, and his status is up for grabs here. Looking like it's pretty doubtful for the Thursday night game. He suffered a concussion there, and not looking great. But Spencer Rattler fills in for Derek Carr for at least 4 games here. Looked okay, yeah, in his debut. Made his mistakes, but where do you see this headed in the next 3 or 4 games? If you have any sort of advice for fantasy gamers headed into the weekend here.
Yeah, I mean, looking at Spencer Rattler's, stepping in for Derek Carr, his performance was up and down. He's getting a lot of pressure all game. He was sacked 5 times. He did turn the ball over twice. I mean, like, it has a lot to do with missing your number 1 wide receiver, Chris Olave. He's going to be out, 9 times out of 10 when you suffer concussion, you're out the next game.
Mm-hmm.
So I do believe that he's going to be missing this week as well. But talking about concussions, this coming up week, they do face Broncos, who Patrick Surtain had a concussion as well. So he's probably going to be missing this week as well. Rashid Shaheed, he's dealing with a knee injury. It just popped up. He wasn't at practice today. So a guy that you might want to be looking into is Bud Means. That's who caught the 10-yard touchdown pass, I do believe, this past week. So he could be, a good streamer if you're needing somebody to fill in for a bye week. I think they're going to have to rely heavily again on Alvin Kamara and get them, into position to score. They use the tight ends quite effectively this past week.
Yeah.
Juwan Johnson and Foster Monroe both had decent, fantasy weeks.
Yeah, I mean that's what I was thinking. I think they're gonna, especially if Shaheed is popping up on the injury report already here. Like we're gonna be looking at a tight end heavy situation, and then they may be starting to ramp up Kendra Miller now. When you think of the usage that Alvin Kamara has had, I don't know if it's sustainable for a running back of his age. So they're going to have to integrate somebody else into that backfield. And I think they're just waiting to ramp him up. And I think, this could be a more run heavy approach. Spencer Rattler offers some upside in the running game as well. So they're going to have to adjust. The Saints are in a position now without Derek Carr that they're going to have to obviously make some adjustments, with Chris Olave going to miss a week on a short week against a Broncos team that has been playing pretty stout on the defensive side. So it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. And let's move on, because, let's get into a story here that is pretty grim in my opinion, because I had a lot of stock in the Jacksonville Jaguars. I had them pegged as an offseason team that I thought could get back to their 2022 form with a healthy Trevor Lawrence, but they plummeted. 1-5 record following that disappointing loss to the Chicago Bears. The offense, which was expected to be a strength this season, has struggled significantly, leaving fantasy gamers disheartened. Trevor Lawrence's performance, characterized by inconsistencies, is a primary concern. Despite a brief highlight of a 21-yard touchdown pass to Gabe Davis, he only completed 21 of 39 for 205 yards and a touchdown, and that included one interception. The lack of production from the supposed superstar quarterback is leading to many questions. His viability in fantasy leagues moving forward. Then Travis Etienne also has underperformed, failing to make significant impact on the ground or in the passing game against the Bears. He rushed for just 45 yards on 14 carries and added a mere 30 receiving yards, with an offensive line that hasn't been providing necessary support. Etienne's fantasy value continues to dwindle. Now, given the current state of the Jaguars, Jake, how do you see Trevor Lawrence's fantasy prospects shaping up for the rest of the season? There has been some bright signs here. Brian Thomas Jr. looking great. He looks like an alpha wide receiver in the making. And, they had some good, news come back. Evan Ingram came back and he garnered quite a bit of target share this last week. So where do you see this shaping up for Trevor Lawrence? Is this just them adjusting? And what's your take now? Are they in despair?
Here's the thing. I don't even know if Coach Peterson has a job when he comes back from London. They face the Patriots next week in London, Packers, Eagles, Vikings, Lions. Do they actually win a game in any of those? Probably not. Next year I see Ben Johnson going to get that job. I feel like they're going to turn it around. The offense coordinator from Detroit getting, Trevor Lawrence is going to be the golf. And, I won't go more into it, but they got the running backs in place. They got the speedy receiver. As for this year, Lawrence is like a desperation start, in my opinion, to fill in for bye weeks. And you're not going to feel happy about it, to be honest. Last week he had his career number, 371 yards. He has thrown 2 touchdowns in the last 3 games, but that's more of the Jags being in negative game script. So I don't see him being fantasy relevant to me to start. He's only averaging about 15 points a week, which ranks him 23rd out of the quarterbacks.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about a streaming quarterback, it really is matchup dependent, and I think they're like Trevor Lawrence does bring some value down the line for me in the right matchup, like when they play the Colts again, or they might have some Texan games where they're divisional games, they're known to be high scoring, but it has to be the right week, the right situation, and I'm definitely steering clear of Trevor Lawrence as much as I can. Absolutely there, man, for sure.
Definitely. You know,
All
as
right.
for Brian Thomas, though, he's a start to me still. He's averaging 4
Yeah.
catches, 70 yards. He's got that big playability, and, you know, like last week, took an 85-yard touchdown to the house, you know. He's a wide receiver, too, so far this season, top 24. Like I said before, they're going to be a negative game script. He's probably going to get a whole bunch of targets as he's got so far this year.
Yeah. And you know what? About Brian Thomas too is like for me, my pre-season analysis on him was he was like that kind of burner on the outside, contested catch guy. I didn't see him garnering a whole lot of targets because I didn't see him do that a whole lot at LSU. Well, mainly
Right.
because he was playing alongside Malik Neighbors. I mean, the guy is the, target machine hog. So maybe when you're
Yep.
not playing against, with one of the most prolific rookies there is out there, there is some value there, and he's showing it right now. Brian Thomas is in the same breath conversation, if not ahead of them at this point, than Marvin Harrison Jr. You have to have that conversation. And Rome Odunze, like I think he may be the second most valuable rookie wide receiver in this group at this stage. Seeing the situation and how he's actually been able to emerge in that offense. So yeah, I'm a really big fan of Brian Thomas, and I think he's got a lot of upside moving forward because of the fact that he can earn those targets. That was my main qualm about him was the ability to earn, and he's showing me that right now.
Yeah, I mean, even in last game, he dropped a wide open touchdown. Should have came down with it against the Bears.
Yep.
And then also Trevor Lawrence underthrew him another time when he burned the defense. You know, there's 2 plays that could have been touchdowns for him.
Absolutely,
Big
yeah.
upside.
Absolutely, the upside is just there, and as a dynasty manager, if you were able to
Oh, yeah.
get Brian Thomas, and a lot of the people that did, I heard it on the Undrafted podcast this week with Theo and Jackson. They were talking about how Brian Thomas was able to sneak into like the latter round of round 1, and it ended up going to dynasty managers that ended up being like the champion or the runner-up. That is a huge diamond in the rough when you think about the one turn, like at the 112 or 111 there, like getting Brian Thomas, guys like Lad McConkey and Trey Benson, Jonathan Brooks. A lot of these guys were getting steamed up ahead of Brian Thomas at that stage of the draft. And now Brian Thomas looks like he has been the steal. And let's keep this party rolling, my man. You're doing great. Let's keep it up here, and let's talk about David Montgomery. Wow, what a game he had after signing that 2-year, $18 million extension with the Detroit Lions. Deal locks him through 2027 and includes $10 million in guaranteed money, signaling that the Lions see him as the cornerstone of their offense. Montgomery has been incredibly productive this season, scoring a touchdown in each of his first 4 games and ranking among the top 10 running backs in rushing touchdowns since 2019. His ability to churn out tough yards and find the end zone makes him a valuable asset for fantasy gamers. In Detroit's recent dominant victory, 47-9 over the Dallas Cowboys, Montgomery continued to shine, showcasing his grit and determination. After the game, head coach Dan Campbell praised Montgomery's impact on the team, emphasizing how integral he is to their identity. With quarterback Jared Goff also singing Montgomery's praises, it's clear that the running back has earned the respect and affection of his teammates. The camaraderie between him in that running back room, which includes Jahmyr Gibbs, former first-round pick, suggests a bright future for this Lions backfield. Both Montgomery and Gibbs potentially being top 10 running backs. The big question here, do you think both Montgomery and Gibbs showing strong performance, do you think the Lions can sustain having 2 top 10 running backs throughout the season, or will one inevitably take a backseat as this year goes on? Tell me what you think there, Jake.
You know, I think absolutely they can. We got to remember, you know, this is a team that's playing for not just a playoff run, but a Super Bowl run.
Yeah.
So having, you know, fresh legs, Jahmyr Gibbs, fresh legs, David Montgomery switching series. Gibbs is a lightning. He'll stretch a field beginning of the game, whereas toward the end of the game, you're going to be tired. David Montgomery is putting pounding on you, and he keeps on running over everyone, steamrolling. We look at that. I think it was the Rams game in the overtime. Just keep feeding him, and he just ran over everyone all the way to the game-winning touchdown. I definitely see them continuing, and they're leading the league, putting up over 30 points a game, the Lions themselves. So I feel like it is in the, they both can finish in the top 10.
Absolutely. And just to think that this offense has struggled to start the year. Jared Goff struggled to start the year. And I think they're just starting to find their rhythm. They had their bye last week. They obviously came out swinging this week against Dallas. In that division, that NFC North is just looking lights out. You got the Green Bay Packers, who are coming off a big win, and also with Jordan Love coming back, finding that stability, and you can't discount these fucking Minnesota Vikings at 5-0, 5-0 Minnesota Vikings, and then you see the Chicago Bears, who they're starting to find their way too. So this NFC North could have 4 of the top 10 teams in the NFC right there in that division, and it's pretty awesome to see all of these fan bases get that praise, because they definitely deserve it. Yeah, man, I agree with you. Montgomery, Gibbs, both have that upside there. So, folks, if you're enjoying the show, don't miss out on more exclusive content. Subscribe to the Player Profiler YouTube channel at Profiler News. Follow us on Twitter at Profiler_NFL, and visit our website at www.playerprofiler.com/news for all the latest and breaking news and its impact on fantasy football. You'll find news articles from both myself and Jake and all the fantastic writers and contributors we have on the news desk. So please be sure to subscribe to our stuff here. Now, we got a Monday night game that is about to kick off in about an hour's time, and let's just talk about it a little bit here. We got Josh Allen. He remains a must start despite a tough matchup against the Jets. Historically, he has his ups and downs against this defense, throwing for about 2,500 yards, 12 touchdowns, but 11 interceptions in 11 career games. While the Jets have allowed the second fewest fantasy points to quarterbacks this season, Allen's playmaking ability and overall volume make him a solid QB1 option. We had to temper our expectations slightly, but if you had him in your lineup, you have to start Josh Allen. Do you think Josh Allen can rise to the occasion against a defense that has had his number in the past?
I think he's going to have to, because we don't know yet. I haven't got any, note if James Cook is playing or not. And he's got to put this team on his back and be Superman once again, much like he was at the beginning of this season. So I think he's going to have to play lights out for this team to win.
No, and you know what? James Cook is out tonight, and
he is? Okay.
So that is going to add another layer of complexity to this matchup. And rookie Ray Davis now coming in here, and does he get the nod? We have Frank Gore Jr., another rookie here that could have been elevated to the playing roster here, and Ty Johnson. I think they're going to go with a more veteran presence. I think Ty Johnson might have the upper hand on the lead back role, and I think they're going to see what either back, him and Ray Davis, have to offer, and they're going to go with the hot hand. Not an optimal situation when you think about Khalil Shakir also being very banged up, and we're going to just double check to see if he's actually starting, because
I was going to say, is he playing again too?
So Shakir is active tonight. Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, if Shakir is active, that adds an element of a safety blanket, I think. And that's what Josh Allen's going to need tonight. And it hasn't been official yet. I don't know exactly if he's going to be starting, but it looks like He returned to practice, so it's looking likely that Shakir's back
Okay.
in, and I think that's going to make a big impact in this game. He's going to have to run the ball a lot tonight, Josh Allen,
Yep.
and that's going to make a big difference, right? Uh, Fantasy managers are going to probably get the upside there, a good floor because of the rushing that he's going to need to do without James Cook in the lineup there. Moving on to Aaron Rodgers. Now, Aaron Rodgers, he's a little banged up. He is, shaking off that ankle injury, which was a relief for fantasy managers that are, starting him in super flex leagues. Obviously, you're probably not starting Aaron Rodgers in one quarterback leagues unless you're absolutely desperate. He's been a reliable QB2 option lately, finishing as the QB10, QB20 in his last 4 outings. Although he's thrown multiple touchdowns in 3 of those games, the matchup against a tough Bills defense that allows the 5th fewest points to quarterbacks poses a challenge. We think that this Jets team is going to be running the ball quite a bit against this Bills team that gives up a ton of yards to opposing running backs. So, how do you see Rodgers' experience helping him navigate through this tough matchup?
This Bills secondary is good. I just don't see the Jets throwing, 42 or 54 times like they have the last 2 weeks. Just terrible for a 40-year-old quarterback. They're going to have to hand the ball off. Breece Hall is going to have to perform well. What I want to see out of Aaron Rodgers is pick up your teammates, especially after a big week. You just fired your head coach. You demoted your offensive coordinator. Pick up your teammate, encourage them. Stop doing the BS eye rolling and pointing fingers at everyone else. Be a leader. Be a leader tonight. And if he could do that, I think they could have success.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, he's been the coach for that team. He ended up getting the actual coach fired. So put your money where your mouth is. Let's see what an Aaron Rodgers led team with his, ducks in a row can do. Yeah, I like your analysis on that a lot there, Jake. Yeah, man. Let's move on to the running backs. You mentioned that as well. They're going to have to lean on the run game. Both Breece Hall and Braylon Allen have been pretty solid. So do you see Braylon Allen tonight as a viable flex option, or is he still too risky? We know that the Buffalo Bills give up a lot of yards to opposing running backs, and everybody says this could be the Breece Hall breakout game that we've all been waiting for. But are we that confident that they're gonna, with this new regime, what's gonna happen here? Or are we gonna roll the dice on a Braylon Allen tonight?
I think Hall is going to do really well tonight. He's going to probably come out of the backfield catching the ball. Braylon Allen's only playing about roughly almost a quarter snaps for this team. So I don't like that being a viable, fantasy relevance tonight because I think Breece Hall is going to be coming out swinging. I would assume that Breece Hall finishes as a running back 1 after tonight's performance for the week. They're going to lean heavily on him. Like I said, they don't want to pass the ball 42, 54 times in a game.
Yeah, I mean, I hope not. I mean, you don't think so? I mean, they have to exploit this weak Buffalo Bills run defense that has given up a ton of a huge games. Derrick Henry had a monster against them. So you think you want to do that again. So yeah, I kind of agree with you here. I think this is the game that Breece Hall has the opportunity, and hopefully this is where he seizes that role and doesn't look back. And it could put all the people that drafted Breece Hall in the first round something a little bit of stability and some breathing room, if you will, because a lot of those teams are suffering right now.
Definitely.
All right, let's move on to the tight ends because some interesting situations here. Dalton Kincaid has definitely not lived up to the expectations this season, having finished in the top 12 only once, with the Jets defense allowing the 3rd fewest fantasy points to tight ends. Kincaid is a risky play this week unless you have better options, which at this stage, you're already rolling the dice at this point. It may be wise to have somebody else there. What's your initial thoughts? Do you have still hope on Dalton Kincaid? Do you think he can turn the things around? this matchup is going to be a tough one to do it. So, but let's talk about Dalton Kincaid here.
Kincaid surprised me so much this year. We're looking for production. We expected him to lead the team in targets, and including myself, I just was so wrong on this. He's only got 15 catches on the year. He's running about 60% of routes, whereas Dawson Knox is running 50%. It's still a 50-50 share. This Jets defense is really good against the tight end. They've only allowed 40 yards once this year, and that was against Kittle in game 1 when they got blown out. But the only downfall is who you going to turn to. Do you switch back? Do you pick up Dawson Knox, or do you go Tyler Conklin, which I like Conklin more in this game than Kincaid. The last few weeks he's been successful and he's catching a whole bunch of, underneath targets. And lately the Jets been getting blown out. He's getting that garbage time yardage, during the end of the games.
Yeah, I mean, Conklin is somebody I'm fearing right now because I got him in. I'm up against him in a couple tight leagues tonight, and I need him to score under 12 points. And I don't think that's happen, honestly, because of the matchup against, the Buffalo Bills, and there's just Aaron Rodgers' safety blanket. So yeah, I think you've done really well tonight, there, my man Jake. You've had some really good analysis there. Do you have anything else to add? Do you want to add anything about maybe the running back situation? If we talked about James Cook potentially missing, and now he's out. So, what do you have any advice for fantasy managers that are scrambling right now? They must have had a backup plan as far as James Cook goes. So, if it's a Ray Davis, Ty Johnson, who do you think gets the steam tonight if you were to pick one of the two?
If I had to pick them, if you're in a PPR league, I'm going to say Ty Johnson just because he's going to catch the ball out of the backfield a lot. I mean, he's still already doing that currently with James Cook in the lineup.
Yeah.
Being out of the lineup, he's going to take that plus his, regular usage. Ray Davis is more inside your tackle runner. I can't really remember who's so high on him when he came from Memphis, I believe he came from. Yep. I think he's going to be, your in-between tackle runner this week. But I like Ty Johnson overall.
Yeah, I mean, you got to go with the guy that's getting the play, before the starter goes out, and Ty Johnson is getting some game action. He's seeing that level of confidence, and I think he might be a safety blanket with James Cook not being in the lineup. So look for maybe Ty Johnson as a sleeper tonight, folks. And yeah, man, if you were to peg somebody to win this game tonight, there, Jake, are you in this tough divisional matchup? Both teams not playing to their potential. Who do you got in this one?
I wanted to say Bills if James Cook was playing, but I'm still going to say Bills tonight. I really don't like all the distraction going on in New York. It's like a must-win game for them. They're playing for now the future, but I just like Bills because it's a must-win game for both teams, and I think Josh Allen's going to be far better than Aaron Rodgers tonight.
Yeah, he's going to put the team on his back and do what Josh Allen does. And when it comes down to the wire, I think I agree with you there. I think it's going to come down to one of the last plays of the game, and Josh Allen might be the man to do it. So, yeah, man, thanks for coming on the show tonight. We're wrapping up on 6:30 where, we're going to head into the primetime news right after this with Rattler and myself. So, Jake, tell everybody again, remind everybody where they can find your work and what you're up to here for Player Profiler.
Yeah, everyone can find me on X, Louis Lewis 5. Check out the podcast Fantasy End Zone. Also, check out Player Profiler News. There's a whole bunch of good artists or authors and everything like that. I look forward to doing more with the future with Player Profiler as well. Check out their social medias too. Instagram, Facebook, anything like that.
Yeah, man. And, if anybody wants the opportunity, if you think that you're savvy and you know your stuff about fantasy football, drop us a line on the news desk here on the Player Profile or Twitter account here. We'll we have an application on there pinned, and if you're looking to gain some work and you think you got what it takes, like Jake and I, we'd be happy to look at your resume and help you join the team, because we're always looking for inspiring writers and creators and content creators, whether you're in video or writing. So be sure to check us out. And yeah, man, that's a wrap for today's episode of Player Profiler today. A huge thank you to Jake for joining me and sharing his valuable insights. We appreciate you, man. If you've enjoyed this discussion, be sure to subscribe for more expert analysis and fantasy tips. Remember to follow us on Twitter for all the latest updates. Good luck with your lineups this week and tonight. Hopefully, you get your miracle that you need. And definitely, man. Jake, thanks again, man, for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yeah. Okay, folks. Like I always say in every end of my shows, we hope you win. Cheers, everybody.
From the Podfather to you, I deeply appreciate you tuning in. And many ask, what can I do? What can I do to help support the hosts, the research they do, the production costs? Go to playerprofiler.com, Dynasty Deluxe, World Famous Draft Kit, Rankings, DFS Dominator, and of course, data analysis. Subscribe to any one of those, and you support all of us and take Player Profiler to the moon.